I extend a warm welcome on behalf of Solve Foundation to everyone present here today for today's Journey to Safety webinar series on the topic Road Safety for Children. We'll kick off today's session with a brief introduction of Indian Road Safety Campaign, following which I will hand over the session to our host of today, Mr. Ivy Rao sir. I request all the participants to please post your questions in the chat box, following which Mr. Ivy Rao sir will take it up in the end. Indian Road Safety Campaign is the initiative of Solve Foundation, working towards making the roads safer in India. Started as a project at IIT Delhi due to the death of students in a road accident, IRSC has gradually grown to be the largest youth-led organization in India. IRSC has been working in close association with organizations such as UN, WHO, Ministry of Road Transportation and Highways, various state governments, and other research centers across the world in its endeavor towards Vision Zero. To achieve this, IRSC has worked with over 1,500 colleges and over 25,000 volunteers across 50 plus cities in India in various domains such as awareness, technical innovation, law, order, policy, medical, etc. Indian Road Safety Campaign has launched the Journey to Safety webinar series to bring all the stakeholders of road safety in one platform, where we try to spread awareness about the importance of road safety and the protocols that one needs to ensure. For all the participants present today, the flow of this webinar will be handed over to Mr. Ivy Rao sir for the introduction of speakers. We will then have a PowerPoint presentation from Mr. Jaiswal and Mr. Chawla, following which we will have a discussion between both the panelists and the host. Without further delay, I will pass the session over to Mr. Ivy Rao sir.
Thank you, Akhil. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our guest speakers for today, Mr. Rajinder Chawla and Mr. Varun Jaiswal, all the participants and friends. Good evening. I am very happy to host this webinar, 28th in weekly series on road to safety being organized by IRSC. This week, Dr. Rajinder Chawla and Mr. Varun Jaiswal would be talking about road safety in India for children, that is with special reference to children. Road safety is a complex subject and needs contribution from all stakeholders to make roads safer for users. For benefit of our esteemed speakers, I would like to briefly talk about various issues of concern for road safety. UN had declared a global plan for the decade starting in 2011 up to 20 of action for road safety and recommended 5 pillars: the road safety management, safer roads and mobility, safer vehicles, safer road users, and better post-crash response and emergency care. The Central Motor Vehicle Act has been modified with a lot of improvements and severe penalty for not following any of the traffic rules. Unfortunately, in India, we still do not have proper evaluation of accidents taking place every day to understand the reasons for accidents. Latest MORTH data about road accidents, which was done for 2019, indicates increasing trend in number of accidents. We have about 4.6 lakh accidents and about 1.4 lakh fatalities. The big concern is the fact that very high percentage, about 72% of fatalities are with mid-age group who are in most productive phase, which affects our growth. 35% accidents involve two-wheelers and 24% four-wheelers, and fatalities also show similar trend. The fatalities of people up to 18 years age is about 16%, with females contributing 10% and male 6%. In case of two-wheeler users, as per recent survey, only 30% drivers and 10% of pillion drivers use helmets. Same is the case with wearing of seat belts in passenger vehicles. Based on survey done in 2018, conduct uh, only some 28% of drivers and 4% of rear seat occupants wear seat belts. In this also, many do not use when doing small trips to nearby locations. When we look back over last decade, India has considerably improved the road infrastructure, the automobiles being made almost at par with Europe, awareness amongst road users, and post-accident emergency treatment services. But still, India has not seen any reduction in accidents and fatalities. Rather, it's showing a increasing trend. It was highlighted by many in previous webinars that we do not have full information about all the accidents. If the accident analysis done well, would clearly indicate what caused the accident and who is responsible. These inputs will help vehicle designers to configure the systems better. The ministry and authorities will have clear picture in formulating regulations which would be effective in India, and also design the roads better and eliminate the existing red spots. This would also be useful in focus training and training the drivers and road users better. Few months back, we had Mr. Ravi Shankar Rajaraman, the technical director of JP Research and India Office, the only professional organization which analyzes the accidents taking place in some parts of India. He talked about the accident analysis being done by them and power of information for taking correct decisions for improving road safety. We had Mrs. Babni Lal from MORTH who spoke about data being collected by Transport Research Wing of Ministry of Road Transport and various initiatives they are taking for real-time collection of accident data. In August, we had Dr. Nihan Tran from WHO talking about gender equality in road safety. In January 21, we had Priya Vardarajan and Parachi Salve who talked about road safety with special reference to women. And friends, today we have Dr. Rajinder Chawla and Mr. Varun Jaiswal who would be talking about road safety for children. Unfortunately, there are cases where the children are cause of the accidents. Some parents encourage their young children to drive on roads without driving license, and some fathers have their child sit on the lap to steer the vehicle. I mean, it's a very common sight on Indian roads. In India, some efforts have been made by some NGOs to include road safety as a subject in school to inculcate good habits in young minds with respect to road use. Today, we are fortunate to have these two experts to share their views about road safety for children. Sorry. A brief introduction about the speakers. Dr. Rajinder Chawla, Chairman and founder of NGO Asha Chinh Welfare Society, is a former professor of biochemistry from Christian Medical College, Ludhiana. And through this NGO, Asha Chinh aims to embrace and nurture many children as possible by providing means to education and spreading awareness about road safety. He believes that by helping them grow, develop and mature into independent human beings, they can return to contribute to the welfare of the society. The NGO is primarily into offering financial aid for education to poor students and infrastructure development of the existing schools. They also are on mission to enlighten the society on road safety by organizing lectures, seminars, and workshops. They also give scholarships for underprivileged, meritorious students and development of infrastructure to update government schools into modern schools. They also conduct coding and entrepreneurial development programs, creating awareness about hazard of road accidents. And as a professor, principal investigator for the projects funded by ICMR and DST, he has written 3 books on medical biochemistry and published about 35 research papers. Mr. Varun Jaiswal is an automotive electronics engineer by profession, holds a special inclination towards promoting road safety and practices amongst children. He has visited many schools for presentations to educate the children about importance of road safety and the best practices to be followed. He has also written a lot of articles about the various concerns around road crash pandemic in India. I would now first request Dr. Rajinder Chawla to present and give his initial remarks. Over to you, Dr. Rajinder Chawla.
Thank you, Sir Rao. Thank you so much for nicely introducing the speakers and a very good brief about the scope of today's webinar. Let me share my screen and then we'll start. Good afternoon, friends. I hope everybody is able to see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have started this arrow targeting the youth in the country, particularly in the schools and the colleges. And this arrow means Asha Chinh Rotary Road Safety Outreach Workshop. It's acronym for that because we are in partnership with Rotary to spread the awareness about traffic accidents. I generally don't talk about traffic road safety. I talk about traffic accidents because creating awareness about road safety, everybody knows what needs to be done. But what I intend to do is make the people aware about what happens on accidents and after accidents. Road safety has become a slogan in India. Everybody just takes a banner and goes on the roads and marches and all. And our endeavor is to make this a way of life. Unless we make the road safety a way of life, we cannot improve our communication on the roads. You see this kind of news almost every day. Driving a bike, high speed, 24-year-old brothers, they die in an accident, hitting into a stationary car. 26-year-old Akshit killed in a car accident, racing with a friend on Audi R8 on Firozpur Road. These are some things from a single city, from our Ludhiana city. 2 boys killed after speeding at 220 km wide BMW, hit a tree. 4 friends die driving at a speed of 170 km. 4 youth die after car plunges into rivers. So these are kind of the common news we see in every newspaper, every city in India. Similarly, these are some of the news from Chandigarh. This is just a single road on known as Airport Road, and these are all news over a period of, let's say, 2 weeks. So many accidents they happen there. Now, the difference between this and this slide is that here I'm talking about high speed, 170 kilometer, 220 kilometer. Can you believe that? BMW hitting a tree at a speed of 220 kilometers. And here, what I'm highlighting is three youngsters coming after late night party, charged to death in the car as it was crashed under a Volvo bus. Coming from a party, next two youth died. 18-year-old killed, going to attend a freshers party. Next, Puneet Sabharwal died on Airport Road, Hyundai Verna. It was his birthday. Naturally, it was a party. 25-year-old woman, Amandeep Kaur, died 2 months after her wedding. So here, the difference between these two slides is this is a group of the accidents that are happening everywhere. These are the kind of accidents we see everywhere, where people are partying, celebrating, going to celebration or coming to from the celebration. Basically, they are celebrating on the roads. You see this figure, such beautiful children they are. And these are for Bhavneet, Sanya and their friend Devesh. And what happened to them is this. There is a small bridge between two areas in Ludhiana, and this is very narrow bridge. And we can discuss later that the embankment of this bridge has not been very strong. You see this, what is happening here? Two cars have passed before this. They were on a normal speed. They maneuvered onto the bridge, but this one was at a high speed and could not maneuver the car onto the bridge. And it fell into the river, and all the 4 children died in the river. You see this, how many can identify this device? I don't want to answer, but you can raise the hand or something. Very few people actually know this, what it is. This is a safety device. This is a hammer on one side and there is a cutter on the other side. Why I'm emphasizing here is if this device was there in that car which fell into the river, those 4 lives could have been saved. Because once that impact happens in a car, the car locks itself. The today's safety features in all the cars are that all electronic system in the car gets locked up. You cannot lower down the window, you cannot open the door, you cannot even remove your seat belt. So if you have this device, this is a hammer, you hit on the side window and it will break the glass easily. And then since your seat belt is also locked, this cutter helps in cutting the seat belt, and this can help you come out. So those 4 children, they did not have this that day, so we could not save them. So this is a device that should be provided by all the car manufacturers with the car actually in the safety kit, but nobody is even aware of this. Now another one, these are again 5 friends. They were coming from a reunion, and one of them had a new Honda City car, and they were driving and celebrating. See that? This is what is happening in the car. That's it, a full stop. This is the video when it stopped. That means that was the time when this car flew into air around 15 feet above the road and hit a tree. And this is what is left. Estimated speed of the car is 170 kilometers. So that's what I'm talking about today, is that we are celebrating, our youth is celebrating on the roads. So that needs to be curbed. We have to tell our youth that roads are not meant for celebration. Roads are meant for driving and to take you from your home or places to your destination. What I talk about is life after an accident is never the same. The person who have died, they have gone, maybe relieved of the pain. the pain persists in the family left behind. The people who are left behind, they suffer for a long time, not even for probably for the whole of their life. The whole of the life changes for the living family, not for the dead. Mothers start crying and probably they will be crying for the whole of their lives. Parents who have lost their children, they feel a loss of purpose. The four children whose car fell into the river, there were two children of a single parent, the single family, boy and the girl. So they had only two children and both of them died. So this guy is a very big construction manager, and he takes contracts for the road construction and all. He's a very rich man. Now he doesn't know what to do with the money or what to do with the business. So parents feel the loss of the purpose of their life. Ambitions they have for their children, they are shattered. Hopes that children will carry their name forward will be shattered. So that is the impact of the crash. One image I did not show there, or I did not list in the news there, is this Mr Chawla. He was my son. He was 18 years old and we lost him in a car accident in 2015. And that is how Asha Chinh came into being. I was a professor in medical college. I left that job because I could not continue my job. I did not see the purpose of living or teaching children anymore. So I thought it's better to, I've lost my son, so let me just try to save some other children. So this Asha Chinh came into being in memory of Mr Chawla, Aftab Society of Hope and Aid for Children Needing Help. Similarly, those two children who were lost in the river, their parents have also started a charity society known as DHABI-DUBAI. I don't know how many more parents will be starting their own charities in the name of their children. That is not our job. That is the job of our children to carry our name forward, not us carrying their name forward. Life after an accident never is the same. So I've left my job, 26 years of my career. My wife had her first angioplasty within 6 months of this accident. So families are shattered, dreams are broken, life is filled with endless hours of pain and anguish. Bus rams into a car. That's a story we see everywhere, every day. That story appears only once in a newspaper, but for the family, this is every day. The story repeats itself throughout their life, every moment, every hour, every day, every week. When you make one cup less of tea, when you make a couple of chapatis less, need one less chair on the terrace, you don't know what to do with the music collection of the children. Cry every time you listen to a song that was his color tune. Life after an accident is never the same for the families. This is what our youth is doing. Is the life of our youth so cheap? Around 40% of the deaths on road during accidents are on two-wheelers. Literally what's happening here is our youth is throwing their life on the roads. These are not accidents. I don't call them accidents. They are suicides. We are killing our own. The children are killing themselves on the road. That needs to stop. We are killing almost 400 men, women, children on the roads every day. More than one plane crash, you can see. One plane crash every day in India. One plane crash happened in Canada, Kanishk, and we still remember that. But we are losing one plane every day in India. We are not doing anything about it. This is just statistics from 2016, but I've looked at 2019 statistics also. It's almost the same. On an average, 150,000 lives we are losing every year. And this is different state-wise that are there. So there could be some ups and downs, but on an average, we are losing one life for every 2 kilometers of the road being constructed in India. These statistics, I'm not going to go into that, but we just have to understand that around 60% of the accidents are happening due to overspeeding. 40% I mentioned lose their life on the two-wheelers, and 26% lose their lives because of the dangerous driving on the roads. This is a photograph of an accident in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. 60 cars were involved and they were on fire in the night. You can see 60 cars mean at least 100 to 150 people were there in the cars. And you know how many lives we lost? Only 3. 3 people died in that. Such a big accident. So the mortality per accident in India is very, very high compared to any other country. That is another point we have to consider, because we are so reckless in our driving that we do not leave space for the life. We are just going into the death. Can we change this scenario? There are going to be discussion, I hope, on can we change this scenario. Point is, do we want to change the scenario? That is the major question. Do we want to do that? Do we want to bring a change there? If we want to change, there is a good news. More than 80% of the accidents are preventable. 80%, can you believe that? That means 150,000 deaths in India. Every year we can save 120,000. Only the death rate will come down to 30,000 a year. 80% accidents are preventable. So point is, we behave on the road as if everybody on the road is our enemy and we are on a war. I don't know war with whom. You don't know the commuters. You don't know the people around you. You don't know who is passing by. And still you consider everybody your enemy. So that is what we need to create awareness about. Awareness is not that there is a Naka there in that place and there is a policeman standing on these points in the city and said that is I'm very much aware about this, so I can bypass them by going through the streets around that area. That's not awareness. Awareness is when you have to be enlightened. You have to be aware from within that I am aware. I'll always abide by the rules. I'll respect people who are my commuters on the road. They are not my enemies. I know I'm going to a destination. I'm not on a war. So I'll smile at people, give them way, show respect to them. That is what awareness is required. What can we do? I think there are a number of things. This is a small pamphlet there. It shows how much is the risk and how much you can save yourself if you wear yourself in control. Avoid road rage, wear helmet, seat belt, do not use mobile, do not drink and drive. These are very simple kind of things we need to do. We know that, and this is the amount of risk reduction that can happen with these small point things. So basic idea is we need to change our attitude. Driving is a pleasure. We should be enjoying while driving. Why this kind of attitude? We are staring at people, giving wrong gestures and just shouting and abusing them. Why we're doing that? What's the purpose? We don't know those people and you won't see them again. And still we are doing it. You go to any other country, people passing by, they simply smile at you. They don't know. They don't give reason for why they're smiling, but they simply smile and you smile back. That is the change in the attitude we need. Smile at people, give way to the others, respect their rights on the road, curtail your ego, be at peace. घर से लड़के नहीं निकलना, गुस्से में नहीं आना. There is no need to be in rage. Road rage also takes around 15% of the casualties on the road. Be ready to help. Now we know that there is this Good Samaritan Act that was passed in 2016. Before that, people used to avoid helping people in accident because police used to harass them. Now that cannot happen. With Good Samaritan Act, you simply help people and take them to the hospital. Nobody is going to ask you any questions. Sir, do I have further time, or I can stop here?
So you can please continue.
Okay.
Time is not. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So how many of you actually, just talk to yourself, ask yourself, how many actually wear helmet? We see helmet is not required. This will spoil my hairstyle, or I'm a woman, I don't need it. I'm a Sikh, I don't need it. Although I'm just not wearing a turban, I'm wearing a dupatta, that patka kind of thing. But since I'm a Sikh, my religion allows me not to wear helmet. Point is, do you see? Whole of the tire of the truck has passed over the helmet, over the head. If helmet was not there, you can simply think, imagine what would have happened. And this guy is fine. That is the power of a good helmet. If we think this can happen to this driver only, this cannot happen to you when you are on bike, you are mistaken.
Sir, I just want to interrupt here.
Yeah.
It is power of good helmet provided it is worn properly.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we find a lot of people wearing helmet just to overcome the cop catching them. They don't even belt it. That's also another big problem in India. Right
No, most of the youth, they wear the helmet on the arms, not on the head.
Yeah, that's also is.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue, sir.
So I'm just thinking, if you want to change the scenario, that do some scenario, what we need to do. First was the helmet. Otherwise, this is so common. This is so common. You're talking with your friends, take a call and simply move on to the road. Stop using mobile. Please stop using mobile while you are on road. Be careful about that. This is another point. When the light is yellow, we try to cross that by speeding up. So particularly bus drivers, they will not stop. So they think the yellow means they can pass. Yellow means you have to stop. Yellow doesn't mean give you a right to pass. You have to stop at yellow light, not at red light. Before that, you have to stop. I interacted with some of the drivers in my last lecture, and they said, "Sir, time nahi hota." The time pressure is always there. So we'll come to that. We'll discuss that. Stop at yellow lights. Slow down at all crossings. Be careful at the crossings. These are the two videos you can do simultaneously. Both of them mean the same thing. This says overtaking. This is overtaking. See this guy. So while you are overtaking, you see there is a truck overtaking another vehicle, and you still are going to extreme of the road, you think you can cross over without realizing that what's going to come from the other side. So overtaking is another thing that takes a lot of lives, particularly of the two bikers, two-wheelers.
Also, Rajinder sir, in this video, I would like to highlight that the person was probably not putting up the his helmet's buckle, and that was
Yes,
also the reason
helmet
it
fell
just
off.
flew out. Yes.
Yes, helmet flew off.
Right.
Oh,
Terrible.
this is horrible. But the child was saved somehow. I don't know how, but the child was saved. That was very big relief. So I think Varun is going to talk about the children on the road, and this is the point. We have to take care of the children. When we were children, we used to play on the roads in the streets and hide and seek or gully danda or whatever. That was the time where there were no vehicles. Now there are vehicles. The number of vehicles has increased tremendously, and we have to take care of the children, not allowing them to play on the roads, but they can play inside the parks or inside the houses. So all these accidents, most of the time we see the newspaper and generally think the accident happened to the others. Do you think, my friends today attending this seminar, do you think the accidents happen to the others? No. You could be the very next. Are you sure your mother, father, brother, sister, or friends will reach home alive today? When you go home, everybody will be there? Just give a moment of thought. Are you sure everybody will reach home today safely? Who might not? If you want everybody to be safely home, then what you're doing about it, my friends? That is my question. I leave it, this presentation, with this question in your mind. So what are you doing to keep you and your friends and your family safe? So this is the moment we have started. We are contacting different colleges and schools, and this kind of presentation and quiz seminar debates we are organizing. Please join us. Asha Chinh Welfare Society, you can just join and contact me if you want. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chawla. Sorry to know about your son's tragic death in accident, and that triggered you to start this NGO Asha Chinh. You may be aware that IRSC is also an outcome of a very tragic death of 4 IIT students who died in a car accident when they went out for some picnic or something.
Yeah.
So it's very sad. You have highlighted a lot of issues which we all are aware of, but somehow we are not able to still find a very good remedy or overcome these problems. So we'll have the discussion later.
Yeah.
Now I would invite Mr. Varun Jaiswal to make his presentation and initial remarks. Over to you, Mr. Varun Jaiswal.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rao, and Sol Foundation for arranging this. And as Dr. Chawla has highlighted out of his experience, I guess it is pretty clear that it's a high time that we don't be still, sitting as a audience and seeing this pandemic. I call it as a pandemic because it is much bigger than, current COVID situation. And what Dr. Chawla is rightly trying to highlight is that it is all of us as a youth, our duty to to really come out and ensure that the picture changes. And yeah, also, as some say, it's not an accident, as we say, it's not a road accident, because accident is something which you cannot control. It happens on its own. Rather, it's it's most of people call it as a road traffic injury, because this is something which is preventable, but just because of our negligence at mass, somehow we are not able to control it, or keep it in check. Okay, so the topic that we are trying to focus here is obviously the road safety for children, because whenever at large, whenever we talk of road safety, yes, as again Dr. Chawla talking about road safety, but when it comes to really children, yeah, we need a session like this where we can try to focus on how childrens are affected. Childrens who, even if they are not trying able to understand or relate what road safety is, still they are victim. And since they are too young to really understand, it is our duty to ensure we create an environment and उनके अराउंड एक स्ट्रक्चर बनाएं जो कि सेफ हो, और at the same time हम उनको sensitize भी करें that they are aware what are the right practices. So I'll quickly jump on to the statistics, जो कि पहले भी शेयर किया था चावला सर ने. एवरेज लॉ, अगर एक फिगर में जो इसमें फोकस करना चाहूंगा वो है कि एवरेज लॉस लाइफ जो लॉस्ट होती है बेसिकली बिलो 18 इयर्स जो बच्चे होते हैं, दैट इज अराउंड 25 to 30 किड्स पर डे. और अगर आप उसको कैलकुलेट करोगे दैट मींस मोर देन 1 kids वी लूज per day, and these are only government reports. Probably actual data might be more than this, we don't know, because all cases are not reported. तो ये this situation is really grave. We should really think of it because these are not just numbers, these are lives. ये बच्चों की लाइफ है, बच्चों की या बड़ों की, जिसमें भी कहिए. लेकिन अगर चूंकि मैं फोकस करूं बिलो 18 इयर्स, सो यस दीज आर प्रीशियस लाइफ्स जो कि बड़े होके शायद हमारे आप जैसे ही बने और बहुत अच्छा काम कर सकते हैं, कंट्री के डेवलपमेंट में पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे. Also, if you will try to understand that it is not only Indian government but WHO का जो report है उसमें भी उन्होंने कहा है कि the age group of up to 18 years of kids, so road traffic injury related deaths are the leading cause of death for for this age group 0 to 18 years. And when it comes to India, what Nimhan's Bangalore Medical Institute has reported, the result is almost the same. So that means this age group is at threat when it comes to road safety. So that means we really need to do things to address it and to check it. Also, now if I try to focus on what kind of vehicle categories are, so again इसके पहले भी जो चावला सर ने शेयर किया था that two-wheeler, pedestrian and bicycle, these are being said to be as most vulnerable section. Okay, when I say vulnerable, that means kind of mode of transport where you don't have a shield around you. So let's say if you are in four-wheeler or you're in bus, you have a shield around it. So agar koi, if you met in a crash, road crash, then you have a shield kind of metal which might protect you depending on what kind of vehicle build it is. But when it comes to two-wheeler, pedestrian or bicycle, you don't have any shield across you. Even auto rickshaws or agar cycle rickshaws also, you don't have a seat around it. Or if you look into the MRTH report, here specifically the percentage I'm showing is from 2019 report. But if you look the previous year reports also, the percentage more or looks remains same. So that means 35 to 40%, road fatalities are, due to for the commuters on two-wheeler. Pedestrians account for around 16% and bicycle is around 3 to 5% every year almost. Now, if you try to relate these vehicle categories with children, that means when I talk children, obviously I'm focusing 0 to 18 or 5 to 18 years of kids. The kids also happen to use these three modes of, commuting or using the road space. The same three mode of transport the kids also use. So let's say since in our country maximum number of registered vehicles are of two-wheelers, also because it is cheap, it is convenient, and hence we are as a society we try to go for a two-wheeler because it's again it's a cheap. So the parents and guardians, they try to take their kids or kids in the house or their own kids on two-wheeler. And obviously the underage driving is already an issue. And when it comes to pedestrian and bicycles, a lot of surveys have shown that most of the kids have their schools within 2 to 3 kilometers of their vicinity where they stay. So that means walking to school or bicycling to school, it becomes very convenient for them and also cheap for most of the parents. Now if you try to relate that the most affected section of the vehicle is also the section of vehicles or mode of transport which kids use. So that means there is a straight correlation why we see there is a bigger threat to the kids. Also एक चीज यहाँ पे एक और मैं जो मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा कि why we should really focus on kids. uh, uh, Two things which I at least understand is like, if I meet in the road crash accident, there is a kid also, beside me, the same impact, the same crash will have more impact on him or her compared to me, क्योंकि उनकी बॉडी अभी भी डेवलप हो रही होती है अभी, so they are not fully grown up biologically also, so the impact that they will have will be much larger than compared to me. फर्स्ट थिंग, सेकेंडली, सिंस दे आर अ किड, बच्चों को हम जितना जल्दी कोई चीज सिखाना शुरू करें, the deeper it will go inside them. So if we start making them talk with them, sensitize with them about road safety topic, and try to show them that okay, there is a threat and these are the ways you should be protecting yourself, the earlier we do, the better it will be. And hence I feel that it's a high time that we should have more such session organized. Now, as I said, that there is a correlation and there is a threat. Now if you try to go a little more deeper into it, why is it so? Now if we say why is it so, and then we look around, then we see that we say that okay, the kids should be do use to walk or cycle, but when we say walk and cycle, we don't have any specific section of road which is dedicated to to kids. मतलब आप cycling की बात छोड़िए, even footpath, which our motor vehicle act defines that okay, pedestrians should be walking on a footpath, but there are no footpaths. Even in the image, if you can see, the kids are playing on it and there is no much section of a road on which they can walk on. The same goes for cycling and auto rickshaws. So since these are most vulnerable section of vehicles, but still they have to use the same road space in which the other heavy motor vehicle and bigger vehicles are plying. अगर हम बात करें सेंट्रल मोटर व्हीकल एक्ट की recently, which was amended in last year September, there also there are child safety measures included, but again these are loosely defined. कि उसमें मेंशन किया गया है कि हाँ ठीक है, above 4 years only kids should be seated on the child on two-wheeler, and that too with a proper ISI mark helmet, and kids should be seated in a child restraint system. But again, those are just on papers. Actual reality, I've talked to many cops also, traffic cops also, and they are not really aware. वो अगर एक व्हीकल देखते हैं, दे ओनली फोकस इज कि ठीक है, ड्राइवर ने सीट बेल्ट लगाया है, उसके पास लाइसेंस है, उसके पास पॉल्यूशन कार्ड है. दे डोंट पीप इनटू कि ठीक है, द को पैसेंजर हिमसेल्फ और हरसेल्फ इज नॉट वेयरिंग द सीट बेल्ट. फॉरगेट अबाउट द चाइल्ड restraint system. So the topic of this session is that we should not only rely on the motor vehicle act or government to come up with the decisions ki nahi theek hai, you have to wear, and then only we start using it. And not only keeping it to ourselves, we should also, once we understand this topic, I guess we should go back home, try to discuss this with our kids, because my son is 2.5 years, and what I have understood is like kids grasp things much more efficiently than we really think. You won't even realize, and they will capture it, they'll grab it. So we have to ensure that we start talking to them, not to threaten them, but keep them aware that you have to follow these road safety practices, and also that will make them a good citizen also. That's what I feel. Again, adding on to that, the underage driving, as Dr. Chawla also highlighted, now in today's date, if you go to a teenager, ask him not to drive because you are below 18, I don't think so he or she will really give importance to you. So I guess we should change our method and try to go into why of it. If someone is saying that you should not be driving below 18, there is a reason for it. See, driving a vehicle as a task is not much. I mean, if a kid of 10 or 12 years, if his leg is long enough, he can reach to accelerator and brake pedals, he can drive. There is no rocket science in it. But the complexity and the reason why it is being said that they should not be driving is that their mind is not developed to understand complex traffic situations. You should be grown up to understand that in what situation, what is the right decision that you should be doing. So this is the reason that we should make them understand that, see, there are certain reasons why you are not being done so. एंड व्हाट आई अंडरस्टैंड कि आजकल के जो बच्चे हैं उनको हम अगर वाई करके समझाएं तो ज्यादा जरूरी है. जैसे हमें समझाया जाता था कि नहीं, यू डोंट हैव टू डू इट एंड दैट्स ऑल. आई गेस वी शुड चेंज आवर मेथड, how we were being taught, and we should really go back and try to make them understand, if you are saying certain things, then what is the logic behind it. I guess that is very important if you really want to change this picture. Now I would like to highlight on just basic road safety practices, which you obviously we know they also study, but still would like to focus is like whenever you are leaving your kid to use the road space, please ensure that he or she is at least 10 or 12 years of age before you are letting them road the road space. And till then, please ensure that you have adult supervision along with them. And also I believe the elder they are, the lesser the risk is, because again they would have seen or read more about it, so they are more aware when to do what. So also one issue what I find is like, and also discuss with couple of people, is for them also it's a kind of dilemma for these kids. In school they study that okay, we have a traffic signal, we have to follow this, there is a red, yellow and green lights, and also there is zebra crossing, there are footpaths. But once they come out of the school, they don't find this infrastructure, they don't find people following it. So obviously if you look from their point of view, a 12 a 10 or 8 year kid, he is reading something, he or she, and once they come out, उनको दिखता है कि यार कोई फॉलो नहीं कर रहा है, ये फुटपाथ की बात हो रही है लेकिन फुटपाथ तो है ही नहीं, और ये मैं जा रहा हूँ यहाँ से फुटपाथ खत्म हो गया, नाउ आई हैव टू गो ऑन द रोड, you green signal, red signal है लेकिन फिर भी सब लोग चला रहे हैं. For them it will become tough to understand this. So again, as a parent, as a guardian, or in case if you have a kid around you, please ensure that you take them to a places where it is being followed and show them, we should walk the talk, we ourselves should follow these rules, show them that, see kid, this is being followed. If others are not following, you leave it, but your parent, your brother, and your uncle is following, so you should also follow it. So let's say if I live in Bangalore, if I have to take them, probably I'll take it to central Bangalore, where you have where nicely built roads and footpaths where people follow it, and show my son that, see, this is how you have to do it. So we have to set our example, even though there are not many cases. So it falls on us to to educate and to sensitize kids about the right practices. Again, one more thing, which again is obviously being taught in schools, but I would like all of you to have this as an exercise, that you can there are three type of traffic signals: mandatory, cautionary, informatory, which are around 70 to 80, I believe. So you can take this as a fun exercise with them, that whenever you have time, try to show them the signs and ask them what sign it is and what its meaning. Probably again, as I said earlier, we have to engage them, but in a way which they really try to connect them. And please don't consider a 8 year kid is just as a 8 year kid. He has a a budding brain. They are very curious, they are very curious than we really think. So if you give them the right element, if you give them the right recipe, they'll catch it, and it depends what we are serving to them. Yeah. So it is very important that for their safety and your happiness, you enable them with the right road safety practices. Again, crossing the road is actually, if you look into the pedestrian section, the most of the fatalities which happen do happen while crossing the road, because the traffic out there is not really bothered about your life. That's the fact of the hour is, and over the years it has not changed. So we should not be waiting for others to to be aware rather than we follow. So in this case, I would what I would like to emphasize is, like, as I already told, don't let your kids, if they are below 10 or 12 years, route the road space and you're confident on them. And even when they are doing it, also you can show them as example that they should never be crossing while the road is turning, first thing. Secondly, they should never be running on the road, because that will confuse them, the oncoming traffic. also again I would like to emphasize, please give them a reason why you are telling them. If they are running, the oncoming traffic would be confused, so tell them this thing and they will, I'm sure they will understand it over the time why it is being said. Again, when you're crossing the road, ensure that it's not dark and you have sufficient road. मतलब जब भी वो road cross कर रहे हैं, तो ये चीजें हैं, probably whenever you are doing it, first fall keep the kid with beside you and do it so that they know कि इसे कैसे करना है. एक और एक fun exercise that I would like to, you can take with your kids, is like there is a set of four sequence actions that you can tell them. It goes like, you have to stop. You can also use this as a hand gesture, which will be fun for them, what I feel at least. You can make them stop, look. That means you look right, left, right, and the reason for this is like, you look for if there are any oncoming vehicles from left, right, left, and then you try to listen. That means you try to listen. That means if even if you're not able to see any vehicle, there might be a vehicle coming with the engine sound or honking. Even if you're not able to see, you can hear them probably, yeah. And after that you think that, okay, I was stopped, I have looked both the sides, I have listened to both the ends, and then you think that if is it a good time to cross. So that means you stop, ruko, dekho, suno, suno, and then socho. So these are the four steps that you can ask your kids around you to practice. uh, Probably this will look for very young age kids, but again, we should try to still take them into consideration and talk with them. One more topic, which I guess everyone would agree, is this scenario. The overloaded school vehicles, and still everyone, kid as well as the driver of the vehicle, is very happy because he's getting to earn more. It hardly matters if he's violating the safety rules. So this overcrowded, in fact, I myself have been into such vehicles when I was in school, but lately I understood that how risky it is. So again, to add that, whenever you are as a parent, as a guardians, we should ensure that whenever we are leaving our kids to going to school, please ensure that the vehicle that he or she is boarding is not overcrowded. उसके लिए I feel अगर वो थोड़ा ज़्यादा भी charge कर रहे हैं, that should be fine. Okay, let them earn more and ensure that your kid is safe. Uh, दूसरी चीज जो हम कर सकते हैं is like ensure that the driver of the vehicle.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Varun.
Anyone? Hello? Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, we are not able to hear you, Varun.
Okay, just a minute. Is it audible now?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, probably network issue. So okay, so that means we should be ensuring that the driver is aware what do's and don'ts are. So probably for this, what you can also do is like you can follow them once a while, silently, and see if they are, ensuring that the safety of the kids. Also, what I would prefer that we can educate our kids that they know what right and wrong is, so that in case if the driver is doing, keeping lives of the kids at risk, they interrupt him that okay boss, I know this is not right, or please uncle आप ऐसे नहीं करो. So you should sensitize your kids, and also there should be a feedback loop कि बच्चों को पता हो कि क्या सही है क्या नहीं, और drivers भी इस बात से aware हो that okay, if I'm not following this will go back to the parents, and I might be again called. I will just give you a reason connecting this. 25 July 2016, somewhere near my hometown, there was a overcrowded school van, and this driver was a 16 or 15-year-old chap. What he was trying to do is, generally these fellows think themselves that they are riding a super vehicle and they can go at whatever speed. There was an oncoming train. He was able to see it, but still he tried to cross the unmanned railway crossing, and the result was he was not able to. The train was right in front of the vehicle. So I need not explain what went later, but the picture was very tragic. It was a very tragic accident. There were like 10 to 14 kids, hardly 2 or 3 were alive. And so these are the reasons. This is the reason which came out, I know, and I'm able to share, but there will be definitely a lot of the cases which would have been resulted due to this. Also, one more thing I would like to highlight here is our MORTH report. Even recently, I have seen 2019 report. It has a clear mention that most of these accident, whatever is reported, is based on the memory of the policeman. Once he goes to a police, inspection site, whatever he can recall, then he comes back and writes down into the reports. So there is no scientific investigation being done, which can actually pull out the actual reason of the accident. और इसलिए हम एज अ मास ऑल्सो वी रिमेन अनअवेयर कि ठीक है, अगर कोई एक्सीडेंट हुआ है तो ठीक है, उसकी गलती होगी यार, या किस्मत ऐसी थी. दैट्स हाउ वी ट्राई टू रिलेट इट. वी डोंट रियली गो दैट द स्मॉल मिस्टेक्स दैट वी डू और व्हाटएवर वी नेग्लेक्ट is slowly building up, and one day it'll burst. And when I say burst, that means there will be loss of life, and that time will only have reasons to regret, as Dr. Chawla has already highlighted. So we should always ensure that we are not letting these ignorance build up. And please ensure, please sensitize your kids, sensitize yourself, and then pass it on to your kids, and ensure the kids are also aware of these practices. Again, for helmet, as I already said, even Motor Vehicle Act has highlighted that it should be always wore by a 4-year-old kid, and whenever he's sitting on the helmet. Below 4 years, ideally you should not have. Sorry, but even what I've seen is, like, even if you have to seat your kid in the on the two-wheeler, please never make him or her sit on the front of the bike. The reason is, in case if you are hitting a crash, or you're meeting with an road crash, what will happen, that the kid would be the first and the worst one to be affected. He does not have any grip to hold on. He or she is not wearing any helmet in most of the cases, obviously, and he will straight away and will be exposed to the oncoming traffic. So it is very important that even in case if you have to seat him, make sure that he is seated beside you, and possibly sandwiched between the rider and the pillion rider. Though officially this is also not right, but off the records, if you say that this is at least the best practices that you can do, in case if you have to carry below 4-year kid on two-wheeler. And again, as already our lecturers already highlighted, that if you are wearing a helmet without buckling up, trust me, it is of no use. You might be saving some bucks, which the policeman would be charging you, but apart from that, you are not saving anything. So in case if you fell in, you are exposed to a road crash, helmet will simply come out. So it will not be there when it is most required. First thing. Secondly, when it comes to type of helmet for kids, I would always suggest, I mean, even for adults, but especially for kids, you should have a full face protection, because I already I said that the kids are already growing up, so their body is not fully developed biologically, and yeah, nature wise also. So if you see this helmet, these two helmet on the top, sorry, these two helmet on the tops, you can see the bruise marks on front of the face. Now if you have a half face helmet for the kid, these will be totally exposed, and his front face would be rubbing across the road or whatever the hard surface. And so always try to take a full face helmet for your kids. Obviously it should be ISI 4151 mark, and not a local build cap like helmet. That's what I call it. It's of no use. Obviously try to have a bright color helmet also for adults, because whenever, especially if you're driving in night and the oncoming traffic is putting on headlight, the bright color can be easily identified and seen. So this is also what I would suggest. Also have a type of reflector on your back of the helmet. That will be a good safety practice again. And again, here's another exercise that I would like, if most of people can try with the kids, is like, for first you show them get them a helmet of their fitting size. Even though if it is tough, if you look around, you will be able to find probably online. and make them how it is wore, how to buckle it, how to remove it, and then again you can, test them if they know it, how it is being done. Probably again it'll give them a then a sense of importance that okay कि उनके बारे में भी बड़े लोग सोचते हैं और उनकी सेफ्टी भी उतनी जरूरी है जितनी बड़े लोगों की. Now here's a small video as I would like to show. Sorry, just a minute, I'll try to.
Mr. Jaiswal, we are not able to hear the audio.
I believe the message was pretty clear, how really helmet will add up to ensure that the commuters are safe, and the message says a click for safety. Uh, yeah, going to the next slide, and probably the last topic is the child restraint system. This topic is which I really want to fully highlight is uh, that child restraint system is, I believe, what I've seen around among different topics is remain the most neglected topic. We feel that this is a equipment which should be and is used and should be used only in Western countries. India we don't require. But the fact of the matter is, no matter how good quality vehicle you have, you might have, you name any vehicle, even if you can have Volvo vehicles, which are, considered one of the safest vehicle on the planet. Volvo vehicles, if you take, and if you have your kids not tied properly and properly and properly installed and used child restraint system, trust me, even a crash of around 30 or 40 kilometers can turn fatal for your kid. So this is very important that we understand this topic, that the child restraint system is as important as it can be any other safety feature. Some people I've also seen that they will think that okay, I can tie up my kid with a seat belt. But again, the seat belt is not meant for kids, it is meant for the adults. So suppose if you're wearing a seat belt for the kid, probably it will come up to here or from his face, and you consider a scenario where you are being exposed to, kid is being exposed to a road crash, he or she will not be restrained by the seat belt, because you're not, the seat belt is not able to capture the kid, in an event of such a huge force. And okay, one of the root cause what I've surveyed myself and tried to understand is like the parents themselves, what their understanding is like, okay, if I'm seated on the front, I should be putting in the seat belt, and if I'm too concerned, then the co-passenger would be using. Rear seat is something very safest place, and I don't, the passenger sitting on the rear don't need it. I don't know where it has come up from, but probably this is our culture. This is how we are being, taught up or seen. But definitely we should break it. And the first thing what we should do is start using seatbelt on our own, be it rear seat or be it front seat, because the impact, if you see a car driven off at around 45 kilometer speed, which I believe is a very nominal speed in our roads. Even though we are limited to below 100 kilometer in most of the roads, 45 is pretty common speed. Even this speed, see, the problem in a road accident is not the speed, but the way it comes to a stop. The higher the speed, the more the impact would be to come to a still. So that means the way you stop, it produces around 30 g of force. That means 1 g is a gravity, and the force of the gravity that the earth applies, and you multiply it by 30. So that is a force that is generated in case even if you're driving at a 45-kilometer speed. And again, what I've seen in most of the cases is parents, and especially mothers, they feel that if they have tied up their kids with their hands, that will support their kid to stay safe. onto this, how I see it as a very funny sentence. Probably you might see a biological connection with the kid, but the fact of the matter is that it's a physics which dominates a crash. So even if you might feel that you can save your kid, but the fact of the matter is that's not the truth. You can try to find any such person who have been into road crash, and fortunately if they have used the seat belt, they would probably tell you the story how it is. So hence it is very important that you understand that if you are traveling in a four-wheeler, please ensure that you're putting up your child in a properly installed and used car seat or child restraint system, as we say. So here, if you see, if the kid is below 0 to below 2 years or below 10 years of weight, 10 kg of weight, you should put him into a rear facing seat as on the above image. And if kid is about 2 years or 4 years, then you can get a properly front facing car seat. I guess even if you look around, it'll hardly cost you 4 or 5 thousand rupees. And I don't see a reason why someone should not be going for such a cheap system in it, because if you compare with the life of a kid, it should not seen as a cost. On the funny note, what I saw is like my son keeps on seeing this video called Peppa Pig, and what interesting I find is that even this cartoon character is being seen, using these seat belts in the car. And probably this slide was one of that I prepared for young kids, uh, but I feel like it is apt for this session also, where you see that okay, when the cartoon characters are using you, and to add on it, that it's a really fun place to sit and enjoy. Now, since I'm using, what I've seen is like my son prefers to sit in there, because whenever he's asleep, he'll fall asleep there. He'll listen to music and do whatever he can while seated in the restrained in the child seat. So here also is again a small video which I would like to show. So yeah, I guess the video was pretty clear that with and without seat belt, you can clearly see the impact. And if you put child in the same place, then you can just multiply the impact and the end result. And hence I'm almost to concluding my session, or my topic is like what I feel when it comes to kids. We should catch them young. That means we should start talking to them. The lesser their age, the better it is. And I generally I like to call them as a road safety soldier, because I feel that gives them a sense of importance and responsibility. Because a soldier is someone who tries to protect himself or herself, and also those along around them. And yeah, so that was all from my end. Yeah, I would like to conclude here from my end.
Thank you, Varun. Yeah, I think touched on very, very important, simple facts, uh, which we all know are important, but somehow many of us are not following them 100%. Uh, I would like to know from Dr. Rajinder, how is NGO is actually working towards road safety? What are the various
Like
actions they are doing to improve road safety?
like Varun said, that it's always best to catch them young.
Yeah,
So it's very difficult to change the habits at an older age. After 40 years, you will drive the way you drive, unless you have some implementation, policeman is there or something like that. You are not going to change easily. But if we really want to make a change of the scenario on the roads, we have to start teaching our children and making them aware that this is important to follow the rules. And what we do for that purpose is we go to different schools and colleges and organize quiz and seminars and debates. If it is a school, smaller children actually they might not be ready to debate an issue, and they might not be having the knowledge enough. So we arrange quiz programs with simple questions. We don't I don't ask any traffic questions or rules questions. I just ask about awareness. And for the colleges, we organize the debate. We give them a topic. Let's say all the road accidents are because of implementation failure. So that, let them discuss, come for and against an issue. So this creates a lot of curiosity among the audience as well as the debaters, and it livens up the issue. That's what we have seen is quite effective.
When we are on this topic, I just want to mention that I had visited Japan many times for official work from Maruti, and it's very interesting to see the small kids, even nursery prep students, crossing a road in a queue, and the way they get into the bus, and the way they organize themselves at various locations. Uh, I understand that in Japan, all these the how one should follow traffic rules, what is safety, etc., are taught from the nursery onwards. So, though I had been interacting with a lot of NGOs, and they all said that we need to take safety education to, I mean, starting with the nursery or first standard or KG. But somehow, I still not very sure whether it's happening across all schools. I mean, I would
We
like to
generally
know your
focus
comments on this.
the nursery students mostly they will follow whatever their teachers say.
No, provided
So
it's being taught to them. I mean, the question is whether all
road
our schools.
road road safety or road traffic rules as such they are I think part of the curriculum in 9th or 10th standard. There's
Yeah,
one chapter there.
yes,
That's a very simple chapter about the rules, and what I'm emphasizing is not the rules, not knowing about the rules. It's
yeah,
about how to we have to follow them. We have to believe that we have to follow them. It has
yes,
to be absorbed in our mind.
yes,
Like I give an example of crossing in UK and other European countries. You see, what they do many times is they on the crossroads they simply have a circle painted in white on the road on the crossing. There is no construction there, no cement and and nothing. It's just a white painted circle. And I see everybody is following around that circle, although anybody can drive over it without any
yeah,
issue.
yeah, correct.
But they follow the rules, and there is no policeman standing there. So this has gone into their habit that we have to. If this circle is, this means that we have to go over it, not across it. So this has to be absorbed in ourselves, in our children, that this is important to follow rule, and this is for their safety. If they love their parents, if they love themselves, then they have to follow. This is the way of life.
The also the other I mean issue connected with especially in India is somehow we have a tendency to circumvent rules and bypass
Yes.
rules.
Yeah.
I mean that's our tendency. I mean,
That.
so in spite of all these changes in CMVR, where they have increased the penalty for not following rules, etc. Still on road, you don't see much change in behavior of road users. I
See,
mean, they all look
in
at the surroundings. If there's no cop, they are very keen to jump the signals.
yes,
And in spite of the so-called the cameras which have been installed at different locations to uh, identify the overspeeding vehicles, everybody know the locations and they are in limits only during that time, and they are passing facing the
yeah.
cameras. So I really don't know what good all these things are doing. So I always feel that what we need is a basic change in our attitude,
Yes,
and this
attitude.
we need to work. I mean, it's very important that people should understand that following rules is not for cop's sake, but
For
it's
the
for
policeman,
own
yes.
good. Unless that relation comes, I doubt whether any improvement will happen in reference to the accidents.
Yeah, see, in 2016, our Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, he claimed that we are going to build very safe roads and expressways, and we are and going to increase the penalties on the road, any violation of the traffic rules. And within 2 years, he claimed that within 2 years, the accident number of accident, number of deaths is going to be brought down by half, 50%. And you look at the data, 2019 data and 2016 data, number has
No change.
increased.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
has
that's
not,
right.
no change, or it has increased marginally. So practically making better roads makes you drive faster. But so far as the penalties are concerned, I don't think there is any implementation on those. This only helps police. Police wala earlier was taking 50 rupees or 100 rupees. Now he'll be charging 200 rupees or 500 rupees. So it's
Yes.
helping them to take increase the stake in the
Get more
bribes.
money. Yes.
Yes. So this is not going to happen. This is only happen if the realization is there. If we teach our children that there is no other alternative but to follow the rules, that this is what we have to do. We have to. There is no alternative. That is what, if it goes to the children, this message, only then the change will happen.
When we are on topic, I mean, talking about the MRTH, I would like to understand what else you feel government can do to improve the situation. I mean, Mr. Varun, I would like to know your views.
Yeah, well, what I understand, Mr. Rao, that if we talk of 4 E's, emergency
Yeah,
care,
yeah, yeah.
engineering, education, and uh, probably I'm missing. So out of the 4 E's, I feel that government is obviously trying to do on the emergency care, engineering, and you know, and
Infrastructure development.
infrastructure
Yeah.
front, but that should not be there, because as Mr. Ravla rightly said, that okay, government is trying to build faster, very 6 lane or 8 lane, you can make whatever lane, but until and unless the end user is being sensitized that what is the right way of using, you can give a very fascinated to a toy to a kid, but until and unless the kid is a kid, at the end of the day he'll always try to explore it, and end of the day he'll break it, no matter how sophisticated the tool is. So I feel government should really focus on educating it. That is my personal view, because enforcement can be, yes, probably it was an enforcement, but enforcement will come, because also if you consider, if we try to compare with Western countries, but considering we have such a huge population, we don't have that much policeman, we can't have policeman at each at each signal, and even if they have, how does it matters to a kid who is already owning an Audi or BMW? He'll think himself above everyone else.
Yeah.
Also, onto this topic, I would like to add is, like, in recent months I've been trying to contact many bigger schools. I won't like to name them, but one of the bigger schools of Lucknow and Delhi, and trying to reach them to give me an hour of session to try to conduct road safety session. For them it's like, we already have it in curriculum and we don't really require external. And out of this, what I have concluded is probably these chapters, as Dr. Chawla rightly said, it's just an chapter in one of the subject, and that's
Exactly.
it. It ends
Exactly.
there.
Yes.
It helps kids to gain some marks, easy marks,
Yes.
and to teachers to complete their syllabus, and that ends there. It nowhere relates, from my understanding at large, that it is something which should be followed, and at one point it becomes a matter of life and death. So I guess government should really focus on educating, kind of sessions that we are doing right now. It should be done even at larger scales.
No, as I mentioned earlier, I think all these uh, issues of good behavior, like how to stop, where to stop, how to get into a bus, how to greet people, etc., should be taught at maybe nursery or
Right.
preparatory classes, so that it gets imbibed in their minds, and they would be correcting others who are not following. I mean, I think that is the only way. By when a person comes to ninth class, he's already about 15 years old, and he would have already formed his own way of doing things, which may not be correct.
I guess then in the schools, kids are being taught how to use cutlery,
Yeah,
for instance, but they are never being taught how to, how to drive your vehicle.
yes.
So it's, I guess we, as a society, probably we are lost finding what is right and what is important.
There is some Rotarian PP. I see Radhakrishnan raised a hand. I want to say something. Can we allow somebody?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, I couldn't see it actually. What is the name you said?
Rotarian PP. I don't know. Radhakrishnan, sir. I see
Radhakrishnan? Has he raised the hand? Yeah. Please.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Very good evening to everyone. I said I'm a Rotarian past president, and I'm based in Dubai now. And I was interested after getting this email. And you're doing a very good job. And I was just hearing Dr. Rajinder Chawla and Mr. Varun. In fact, through the Rotary in '98, we started a process for we were discussing till now. We have been working for it for a long time. And in '98, we started an organization in Kerala, Calicut, Trauma Care Society, where now till date we have trained around 50,000 people. All common man we are training, basic life support, trauma care. And same thing, I'm doing it here in Dubai now, the first aid support with dummy, CPR, artificial resuscitation, all those things we are doing. So I have been behind what you have been telling now. The only thing, India is a huge country. You can't compare India with Japan or Europe. India is a huge country. We have population more than 1.3 billion. So what I have been behind, that's what I'm telling. What you have been discussing, Mr. Varun has been telling, and Mr. Chawla has been telling also, same thing. Right from nursery, how to use the road, how to behave on the road, that should be a subject, a curriculum, where there should be one period only for that. That's the only way India we can improve. Exactly. So one period should be there. In that, a curriculum, just like, as you said, 9th and 10th, no. Right from in small classes with picture and action, like that, when it goes to 9th and 10th, we have to teach how basic life support, how to give a CPR, how to give artificial resuscitation, and a lot of things are there, burning, choking, all those things. In fact, I have a curriculum with me, which we are teaching every Sunday for the last 22 years in Police Club, Calicut. So if you want, I can share it also. And what I suggest is, if IRSC can take up this matter, because it's all we are all. I think most of the people are in North India. What I can do because I met Mr. Nitin Gadkari also 2 years back. Not, as you say, nothing practical has been done. So if we can take up this matter, IRSC can take up this genuine case, and we can present a curriculum to the ministry and make it a point that right from school to the 10th standard, it has to be a curriculum, as we said, a period. In the exam, there should be an exam. That's what in Trauma Care Society, what we are doing. Every day, every Sunday, we take a class, and evening, we give an exam. And they have to write that. After that, only we give an ID card. That has to be practiced, and marks has to be given. And it should be a curriculum, a must in India. That's the only way how people will behave properly on the road, and they will use the road properly. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You do.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and it's excellent way you have done it. It's nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I remember there is one Dr. Adil Chagla. He's a neurosurgeon somewhere, I think Mumbai or something. He has been has taken it onto himself to build a small care centers for the accident victims along the expressway. He said every 50 kilometers, there should be 50 to 100 kilometers, there should be one kind of a trauma center which should be available for the accidents, and we can save multiple lives. Means around 50% of the lives can be saved, because most of the accident, let's say 75% of the deaths, they happen because of the injuries which could be treated.
In fact, Doctor, can I interrupt? Dr.
Yeah.
Rajinder, while I was a Rotary district chairman for trauma care, we did this project, right, in Kerala. Like as you said, every small this thing, we made a booth which is made of this what we call the big the ship vessel. You know, we made it all over Tamil Nadu and Kerala, but still it couldn't go function properly because there are expenses, recurring expenses. It went off well 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Rotary did a big project, but then later on, the person who's sitting there, he has to be paid salary. Then a lot of restrictions and this thing, and the government never took it up. In fact,
like Dr. Rajinder Chawla, he says this has to be done by NGOs. NGOs should be taking the responsibility. Let's say 5 centers we develop and we maintain those 5 centers.
That's the way it was done, but unfortunately we didn't get full support, and it just collapsed.
Yeah, understand.
It was containers. We were putting big containers with the toilet and all the medicines, first aid, this thing, it was done. And the person sitting there will be knowing CPR, all those things. Paramedic. That was the way it was done.
Dr. Rajinder and Mr. Varun, I just want, do you have any specific country in mind which can be benchmarked for these things?
No, there are different countries for different things actually. I would say one issue that was not raised today is the number of vehicles on our roads. We are adding, I don't know, maybe 10,000 vehicles a day on the roads, or more than that. So
Probably more than that.
More than that. So so many vehicles are coming every day on our roads, and there is no restriction on that. So I think in 2001 I went to Singapore, and one of my friends, he said, I'm going to own a car in next 6 months. What happened to you? You could buy a car anytime. He said, no, we cannot buy a car like that. We have to take permission from the government, license from the government to buy a car, because number of cars in Singapore is limited.
Yes.
They cannot go beyond that number. Once a few cars are taken off the roads, only those numbers of licenses are given by you can say ranking or whatever is the procedure there. So number of cars have to be restricted. Some way we have to find a way. Our roads, as much as you expand the roads, they are not going to be sufficient for the number of vehicles. We have a rule like roundabouts. We should not enter a roundabout unless the car that's already in the roundabout has come out. But you see, there are maybe 20 cars on the roundabout. You cannot just continuously wait. So there are other issues, and different countries have handled them differently. Like Singapore, and similarly, I think a number of other cities in the world are there, where they restrict the number of vehicles, or they restrict the vehicles of one type only on the roads. We have another problem on our roads is multiple type of vehicles. We have a two-wheeler, we have a thela, we have a truck, and we have a car and buses. Everything on the same roads, and there's no lane defined there. So these are the things which government has to look into.
Thank you. Actually, I think all these things are fine, and also when we are benchmarking, we should also keep in mind that India is still a developing country, and the population of vehicles what we have in India, I mean, in terms of 1,000 population is very, very, very low. I mean, I'm not saying that we should be unmindful of what's happening on the road. So we are still a developing nation, so we have to factor in that when we are following other countries. Like Singapore and other places are all developed, and Singapore is a benchmark for many things, like world, like the way they maintain the roads, the way they maintain the cleanliness, etc. And also the citizens are extremely disciplined there, maybe because of severe penalties if somebody is throwing even a small paper on the road. So they are used to that type of administration, and they are all. I mean, that's why Singapore is a benchmark for many things.
That's what I'm saying. It's a way of life there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's
also
what,
mobility as such is a, I mean, moving from one place to one other place is a requirement now for various activities. So we should look at total mobility in a, I mean, global overview and not talk about only specific vehicles or something. So there are different types of modes, public transport, rails, metros, etc. So we, unless we have a good efficient way of transporting people from one place to other place, I mean, increasing only automobiles is not the solution. We have to integrate the whole system of mobility.
no, we have talked about targeting the children from nursery to maybe 12th standard. One area which nobody has looked into is the drivers. Actually, I have been delivering talks in different schools and colleges, and recently, by chance, because of the COVID situation, the number of students were around 100 only, and they had invited all the drivers, bus drivers of their colleges into the hall, and there were around 50 drivers. I talked to them. Then I mean, that was the first time I was talking to drivers, actually, the bus drivers, and we know that big percentage of the road accidents they happen to involve the buses. So, like I mentioned earlier, those drivers said that we don't have any alternative. We are given very strict timelines, and we have to reach by that time only, and so we have to drive faster. I talked to the principal of the college, of the group of his colleges actually, and I told them this is the issue. That means you are contributing to the road accidents. Please talk to your drivers and give them 10 minutes extra in the morning so that they can go early and reach in time, or maybe you can give them after 10 minutes after the school. And she said, yes, we'll do this. So we have to have a discussion with the drivers, and we should be targeting those also. And transport department can be proactive on that.
Rightly said, Dr. Chawla. Probably this is the driving is one of the main reason why we see around 55% of our fatalities on our national highways only. Though national highway road contributes only 5% of the total road network in India we have, but still that contributes 55 to 60%. Largely because they have heavy vehicles running on those roads, and these are driven by the drivers who don't have proper sleep. They have multiple, they cannot see properly, and I have multiple cases where I know, because which has led to a huge tragic accident, road traffic crashes. So yes, this is a topic also that we should really be concerned and talk more about it.
Yeah, I don't think there is any training or anybody is talking to the drivers the way they drive. I mean, we are trying to educate the children or students, but we should try to make a program to educate the drivers as well, and maybe listen to them. They might have their own problems.
Yeah, very valid point, sir. So I think with this paucity of time, we will close the session now. Over to you, Akhil.
Thank you, Ivy Rao sir. Thank you, Mr. Jaiswal and Mr. Chawla for such a wonderful presentation. You just need to check the comments to see how wonderful the presentation was from both of you. So thank you for that. And yes, it was truly a wonderful and insightful session. I hope the audience found this webinar quite beneficial as well. Yes, last but not the least, I would like to conclude today's session by thanking all the participants for your presence, and we hope to see you again for our next session, for our next webinar session. to make the road safer for each and every citizen of India. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajinder.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Varun.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Varun.
Radhakrishnan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.